On the phone with me today, I have somebody that if you're someone who has followed music and you're a real music aficionado, you will remember this gentleman's name. You'll remember his band. And when you talk about the British Invasion, this is the band that spearheaded it. Dave Clark from the Dave Clark 5 is on the phone with me. How are you?
I'm great, Jason. Feel good.
You've got, obviously you and I could sit on the phone and I could ask you a million questions about your musical journey and your career, and I'd love to, but we're on the phone today to talk about something specific that is going to be brought into the world that a lot of people are going to be excited about. I don't want to tell anybody what it is. Why don't you tell us what we're here to talk about today?
Well, I've got an unreleased track of Freddie Mercury, and it's very special. And it'll be the only unreleased track of Freddie in existence. And it's called Time Waits for No One. Very special.
That is, just to be able to casually say that is pretty crazy.
It is. It's crazy because I recorded the original recording of my musical called Time.
Right.
In 1986. And when I went into the studio, into Abbey Road Studios, to record the song, it was just Freddie, I, and a piano, and it gave me goosebumps. It was it was magical. Then all the crew came in, my guys, and we recorded the song. And Freddie and two of my friends put 48 tracks of backing vocals, which had never ever been done before at Abbey Road Studios.
Right.
The song ended up with 96 tracks, which is a major production. Unfortunately, it took off and it sold over 5 million records. And, I was happy with it, Freddie was happy with it. And then years later, a decade or so later, I thought, see what I can find, the original track that we did. It gave me goosebumps.
Right.
And I couldn't find it. And after a decade or so, every time I had to go into the vault, I got my engineer to go through the masters. But when you've done a 96-track production, it's very hard to find the earlier run-throughs or tracks.
Yeah, and especially back then, everything was on tape. So you're talking about,
Oh yes, it is all on tape. You don't have computers where you can press a button and it comes up.
Yeah, you had to really search through reels of tape.
Oh yeah, and the end of 2017, we found it.
Wow.
So I put it together, but I redid the piano because the piano, the original piano player, Mike Moran, is a great friend of mine. When you're playing for 96 tracks, your playing is slightly different. So I got him to put the piano track on. It was magical. And it had finished, and I just thought, it's a great tribute to Freddie because he's an amazing singer. And nobody's ever seen him without the band, without any audience at all. It's just him on his own performing on an empty stage.
Wow.
With nobody there. And I thought, well, I don't want to cut together lots of old footage, which is the obvious thing, to do a visual, a video with it. So I went back to the original. We shot a video in 1986, and because unions in those days were very strict, and my show was live, and it was very high tech, and we were restricted by the unions that we could only shoot for 3 hours, and we're allowed an hour before the shoot to take all the equipment in, and an hour after to take it out, because the show opened that evening.
Right.
And they wanted all the technical people in by 6 o'clock. So anyway, we did it, and I was worried that we wouldn't get the whole performance. So I got it as a 4-camera setup. When it was finished, they just cut together the first 2 cameras, the first 2 setups, and because it had to go out on a show in England called Top of the Pops, which was the biggest music show.
Of course.
A couple of days later. They cut it together, and then to my amazement, looking back, they just transferred it to video. It was 35 mil. So when this new track came about, just recently, I thought, well, I would get all the negatives sent to me, and 2 lots of cameras had never been developed, So I took it into a special facility and sat with my editor for 3 or 4 hours and went through and thought, I can make something of this. I don't know whether you have seen the film, Jason.
No, not yet. And that's what, and I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, it's all Freddie. No gimmicks. It's him performing. It's magical. And it works.